most active, I think most active in Bangalore, be it civic problems or fighting against corruption. You have always led the way. What motivates you in doing so? Is it because the area has highly proactive citizens?
I think the citizens in Koramangala became highly proactive because we seem to have the highest number of problems. Fortunately or unfortunately, we live in an IT corridor, or a corridor that leads to big IT industries. And that therefore multiplied Koramangala's problems many-fold very, very quickly over the last decade. And I think we were all thrown into the deep end, and we had no option but to swim and try and get rid of these problems.
That's great. Mr. Nitin Sheshadri, what are the key problems of the area? I mean civic problems, what you face every day.
I think in addition to the laundry list of issues which would be there in every locality, for instance, quality of the pavements, erratic nature of power and water supply, and so many other issues, we have a problem in the sense there is no integrated and holistic approach to solving problems in this in our locality and in Bangalore as a whole. For instance, we have a lot of issues where the interaction between government departments is required, but none happens. For instance, BBMP is supposed to maintain a pavement, but BWSSB is supposed to interact with the doing the sewerage lines, for instance. They don't talk to each other. That, for me, is a big problem.
But if they don't interact, you citizens can make them interact. You can come together and bring them together.
That is what we are trying to do. And I wouldn't say that we are yet 100% successful in that. Even when we look at this most recent example that we were talking about in the flyovers and underpasses in Sarjapur. Yes.
Again, I'm asking you one thing. As there are lots of RWAs in Koramangala.
Absolutely.
And you are all eminent citizens coordinating with all these RWAs. Don't you think it is your job to bring the several agencies together and ensure that the works, the problems are solved in that area?
Absolutely. I think we are doing that. We are taking a great amount of initiative in that already. Certainly, since RWS came about, a lot more interaction is happening between those agencies than used to happen. But the fact is, still a lot more can be done and should be done. And when RWA doesn't have statutory powers, we are doing our very best in trying to get these people together. A lot more needs to be done. Maybe some sort of statutory framework needs to be put in place.
Nitin, is it just that these people don't come together, or they are just insensitive to your problems?
I think it could be a combination of both. As far as sensitivity is concerned, we find a combination of individuals, as in any organization. Some people are more sensitive and some people aren't. That's to be expected in any organization. But I think it's also the kind of highly bureaucratic structure that's created out there. And also the fact is there is no entity, organized entity, or a way in which citizens' voice is heard in government organizations right now. I think,
add to that?
Yeah, and I think it's also the work culture that exists in many of these government agencies. You have to go and tell them that there is a problem on this road and there are 4 potholes on this road. I think it's their job to go around and actually find out what the status of the road is and sort the problem out. So we have got from the point where problems just existed all over the place and nobody did anything about it or could do anything about it, to a point where we pick up problems, take them to these agencies and try to get them to sort them out. I think the next step is to get a process in place where they go and look for these problems and sort the problems out and come back and tell the citizens, these are the problems that existed in your area and this is what we have done about them. I think that is what we should all aim for.
I think that is expecting too much from the civic agencies. They are blind to all this, deaf to all this. I think as citizens, you must point these problems to them and ensure that they rectify those problems.
Yes, absolutely.
Dr. Radhakrishnan, recently you staged a protest against the construction of 4 underpasses on Sarjapur Road. It led to, I think, stoppage of work now. Why did you protest? Nitin, you can also add. Yes, Radhakrishnan, you tell.
Okay. We accidentally stumbled upon some plans which suggested to us that there was some road works happening on Sarjapur Road as part of some signal-free corridor. We then got these plans with some difficulty, and when we actually looked at them, we realized that the the planning was such that it was going to be absolute chaos as far as the traffic was going to be concerned in the area. Rather than improve flow of traffic, it was actually going to cause chaos forever and forever. Because what they were doing was they had put a plan into place without looking at the ground realities, current traffic numbers, pedestrian crossing, where bus stops were going to come, future planning as far as provision of public transport is concerned. None of these had been addressed. It was a plan that spelled disaster, and therefore we felt as citizens we had to stop this till such time that a more workable and a better plan was put into place.
Nitin, is it just that citizens were not involved, that's why you were unhappy? Or the citizens really felt, as Dr. Radhakrishnan says, the plan was not appropriate?
No, I think the plan was not appropriate at all for any one of a number of reasons. We raised several issues both at the macro level as well as at the micro level. For instance, at the macro level, we pointed out that the Sarjapur road is congested because of the problems on Hosur road. After all, many interstate buses are plying on Sarjapur road today because Hosur road is congested. Now, instead of addressing the root problem, they were trying to address a side issue, which is Sarjapur road. So, we first questioned the sequencing of the issue. We said first Hosur road must be addressed. If after addressing Hosur road, there is still a problem on Sarjapur road, then that would need to be again examined and a solution developed if necessary. That was our first point that was made. Second point is, the whole emphasis was on giving a fast path for through traffic to move all the way from, Sirsi up to Agara Lake. Our point was, what about the traffic that originates in Koramangala? What about traffic that terminates at Koramangala? And what about traffic that is intra-Koramangala, people going from one spot in Koramangala to the other? Don't those people have a right to use the road too? And how can you abridge those rights in the name of giving some special rights to people just transiting through the area? We wanted a holistic approach combining the rights of all road users, including pedestrians and all the rest. And that was just not put in place. So it wasn't just the consultative process, but a consultation is absolutely required one.
Citizens' participation is important.
Absolutely.
Dr. Radhakrishnan, do you feel there is some kind of a contractor official nexus to just come out with projects like this which have no relevance?
I think logic suggests that there is. Because I think any layman, you don't need to be a traffic expert to know that if you're going to put in road infrastructure, you put that in for the next 20, 30 years. We also know that traffic is going to increase exponentially over the next 20, 30 years. So if you put road infrastructure in place, you must put that in to increase capacity. What their plans seem to be doing is to divide capacity, existing capacity, and divide it in such a way, as Nitin said, that is destined to cause chaos on the roads. And Mr. Rajiv Chandrasekhar pointed this out to the commissioners at a meeting, saying that if you are going to build and spend all this money, kindly do it and thereby increase capacity. And I think that basic idea, if it doesn't strike the so-called planners, then we must start to question their intent in doing these projects.
So, Nitin, has the project been stopped now?
Well,
after your protest?
Well, I think stopped is too optimistic a word. I would rather use the word temporarily stalled is the way I would put it. But I would think there's a long way to go. We haven't heard officially from the PDA or from any source in the government that they're given up this project.
Has been filed before the court?
No, we have not gone that route yet, because we still hope that better sense would prevail on officialdom, and they would actually give us a hearing and relook at this entire project. I want to point out we are not against projects, because a lot of people turn around and say, yes, actually, we are not anti-development or anti-projects. But what we are absolutely against is mindless projects that don't do any good to the citizens. We want a good integrated project that, as Doctor said, actually solves problems.
Right, understood. I was coming to that, because